What's the most awkward accidental physical contact you've had with the opposite? I was walking through a hallway at work, where a guy and girl I've never met were talking. As I got closer, the guy held out his arms in a come on through motion, but instead, I hugged him. Afterward, I didn't know what to do, so I just kept walking. I've never seen that guy again. Edit. Removed an unnecessary word. Edit 2. This edit is a little late, as I was sleeping, but thank you for taking my gold virginity, kind stranger. I was in a wedding reception line, and hugged my buddy who was just got married, then hugged and kissed his new bride on the cheek, and then moved on to, apparently, the maid of honor, who I had never met. In the rhythm of the moment, I reached to hug her too, then was about to kiss her cheek, when got the instinctual impulse that this was too far for a complete stranger, so I guess to not look I was performing a head fake on her. I instead bent my head and kissed her on the neck, right above her bare shoulder. I've told this story on Reddit before, but hey, it's so applicable to this question. I was walking through the city in August, the peak of busyness. The population more than doubles and the pavements are absolutely packed with tourists. I'm only 4 feet 0 inches tall, I have dwarfism, and I have the advantage of being able to weave through you lanky-ass giants. So I was dodging and diving at quite a pace compared to everyone else. I noticed a woman ahead of me in the crowd, talking on her phone. She was very tall and also in 6-inch heels. I took a millisecond to admire her amazing figure in her tight-fitting dress before I tried to dodge past her, but she sidestepped in the same direction and stopped in her tracks completely, reacting to the conversation on the phone I'm assuming. I face-planted right into her with some force. She whirled around and screamed at me in horror, a reasonable reaction I think. I felt my face flush red, mortified. I blurted out a sorry and swiftly darted away into the crowd again before she could do any more, like slap me. Eating lunch with coworkers at Twin Peaks. Cute waitress gets high fives from all of us for some reason. Just as I go in for mine, someone calls her name, and she turns her head/shoulders and lowers her hand. There was no time to stop, I was already in motion. I high-fived her right in front of my boss and co-workers. The look she gave me, she knew it was an accident, but that still didn't make it any less awkward for her, and I the rest of the meal. For some reason I thought you were going to say you high-fived her face. While fooling around with my soon-to-be wife, I tried to passionately throw her onto her back. She was on top. I misjudged the width of the bed and absolutely power-bombed her head into the nightstand. I had the same thing happen with my wife, but roles were reversed. She power-bombed me to the floor from, I would say our bed is 4 feet from the ground. Knocked all the wind out of me, but was also super funny to me. Trying to laugh and breathe at the same time was more difficult than I expected. I'm sure this has happened to some people on here, but I was in a store, snuck up on my girlfriend's sister and hit her with a boat paddle as petty revenge for hitting me with a broom earlier. Right on her butt. We were young and dumb. As I muttered something clever like "How do you like dem apples?" she turned around and it turned out to be a lady in her 40s wearing the same jeans/pink shirt combo. I apologized thoroughly and explained myself, and she was okay with it only because I basically told her she looked like a teenager from the back, in so many words. And no, my girlfriend and her sister just watched it all and offered no help or confirmation of the same outfit from behind another aisle. I'm sure this has happened to some people on here. I mean, I can't speak for everyone, but yeah, I've hit your girlfriend's sister on the butt with a boat paddle loads of times. In high school, there was a girl who I had a crush on. I'm pretty sure the crush was mutual, and we were doing that thing where we were hanging out a lot and talking a lot, but no one was making a move. Anyway, we went to a restaurant with a group of friends and she was sitting next to me. All of a sudden she was leaning over so her head was almost in my lap. I just kind of froze and thought she was doing some weird gesture of affection. She suddenly said, "Could you move?" I dropped something. I said, "Oh," and then she said, "Oh, you thought?" Brief awkwardness where I worried she thought I thought she was going for a BJ in the middle of a restaurant. Anyway, we're still good friends. Edit. This was a long time ago. We're both married to other people and stay in touch, so whether the crush was mutual, etc., is irrelevant at this point. Was on an unusually crowded subway, backed up against one of the partition walls. Hot girl squeezes in at the next stop, and full-on backs her yoga panted but right into my crotch. I had nowhere to go, couldn't decide whether I should say something or not. Also couldn't decide whether it'd be ruder to have a boner or not. My stop was only 3 stops away, but those were the most pleasant 3 stops I've ever had on a subway. In high school, awkward me had a huge boner while I was talking to a friend of mine. She went to give me a goodbye hug and my just speared her in the area. You must have been wearing some very loose pants for that. He was wearing no pants. Directed by M. Night Shyamalan. Oh, that's easy. Went to see a friend's play. That coincidentally had her getting naked on stage, which was a complete surprise to me, though I wasn't complaining. I went to congratulate her after the show, went in for a hug and accidentally got like a full-on handful of. And neither of us said anything and acted like it didn't happen, like you do. I was mortified though. Wait, where can I go see these plays? For research purposes I am doing a school project on nudity in plays. A woman getting up to leave the tram fell on my lap when the driver decided to drive another meter towards the station. Edit, well, I'm loaded with things to say the next time this happens. Thanks. Kicked my ex in the while changing positions during in the dark. Ah, the old punt. Walking through a haunted house on a field trip in high school, and one of my cute classmates, who I barely knew, freaked out and jumped into my arms. I was startled but caught her and also caught a handful of. Now I was the freaked one, but she was so scared I tried to let her go, but she hung onto me like a sloth the rest of the way through. I put her down at the end, gave her a nod and stumbled away. I think we talked like twice the rest of our high school careers. Missed your chance. This happened a few weeks ago. I was swimming at the beach in rather dark water with my friends. I have this one friend who likes to do a lot of gay like pull pants down, grab your, tickle your balls, try to shove his leg up your etc. We are splishing and splashing about when all of a sudden I felt what felt like a knee going up my. So I of course am trying to fart on it, so I start holding down and pushing closer to whatever was trying to go up my butt. I then felt long hair where my smile turns into a face as I see a 12-year-old girl pop out of the water. She looks at me, coughs a few times because her face was just up my and then swims away. We were going down a large waterslide into the pool. I went first and she came too quickly, landing with her legs wrapped around my neck, forcing my head to go underwater. It's rare for the woman to come too quickly, but this does sound like standard practice when she does. I was 12, maybe 13. At Crush's house, crushing hard. She had a basketball hoop and asked if I play. Devilish grin creeps onto my face. Instantly took up guard. She fakes left. Runs right. She's too slow. Puts up shot in front of me like I'm some kinda. That. I swept the ball like a recruiter, my mother, and Jesus was there watching. She tries holding on to ball. Big mistake. She falls. Hard. I fall on top of her. Harder. Bruised her rib. Bloody knees and elbows. She doesn't talk to me all the way up till senior year, and tells every girl in school. Still undefeated. I tripped and fell and my friend pulled down his pants and his pen went in my mouth, and then he took a picture. Senior trip in high school, seated next to my crush on the bus. We'd already been up all night and were on our way to destination number 2 when I fell asleep. I woke up when we got there only to discover that I'd awoken with raging 17-year-old morning wood. Worse, I was wearing loose-fitting surfer shorts, so there was no concealing what was going on. Worse, she got up to get off the bus in front of me, meaning I would be standing right behind her in close proximity. So there I am, standing a couple of inches behind my high school crush, with a very prominent erection completely uninhibited by any form of restrictive clothing, unignorably thwacking against her behind, trying to act casual as we file off the bus. Getting on a school bus, tripping on the final step and falling face first into the bus driver's crotch. He laughed, I laughed, other kids laughed, and I died a bit inside. I accidentally hit my wife in the head during. It was an accident, but I hit her hard. She rubbed her forehead for a while, then stared at me in complete silence. No for me that night. Just yesterday we were doing a group photo for an intern whose last day is today. It was just the 4 people sit by him. The office hot MILF spilled something on her blouse, and there was a big wet spot on the region of her shirt. She said, "I'll have to stand like this to hide it." She turned sideways and pushed her into my arm. It was a good day. At a party I snuck up behind my wife, wrapped my arms around her, kissing her neck and grabbing her. Yeah, it was her cousin. Did this exact same thing, but it was her sister. Saying goodbye to a friend of mine after they graduated. Went in for a hug but our faces went in the same way and we kissed. Then tried to do it again and faces went the same way that time too. We kept fumbling before getting it right and having a normal friendly hug. I think we were both too stubborn to give up, but it only made it worse. We had and would continue to have zero attraction to each other.